Alright, hello and welcome to the video. I'm glad to be back. Now that I'm back at UCI, I have the whiteboard again, so I don't have to do it on random paint on a wall. So the motivation for this video, as you saw in the thumbnail, was an injury I had happened to me where I was going down that slide and on the upwards part of it, my shoulder dislocated, and as it was going out, it chipped a bone. So it tore some ligaments in there, and I still haven't had the MRI, but I know that it's gonna take a very long time to heal, and I might not ever be able to get back to the level of lifting that I was at before. And what I learned from that, along with some other things, was to not let one poor decision undo the effort of a million good decisions. And what I mean by that is I'm someone that very much prioritized my health. I went to the gym, I ate healthy, I made a million good decisions, but I took a risk, and that risk ended up, damaging me in a way that my body won't ever fully recover from. And it's unfortunate, but at least I can take that and tell that to you in a way that hopefully you can learn from it and don't damage your body and such. But what I mean by that is that there's these decisions that you make that are like 99% to 1%. And what I mean by that is that 99% of the time you get an outcome that is good to normal. So let's say cheating on a test is an example. If you cheat on a test, barely anyone really gets caught, so you get some good advantageous parts to it. And I'm gonna ignore that you're not learning the material and having to do stuff later and not having a good foundation. I'm gonna ignore that all for now. I'm just gonna say if you get away with it, we'll count it as a positive. But the problem with that is that the 1% scenario where you get caught can be expulsion from your school. And the problem is that a lot of people, when they see these scenarios, they don't think of the 1%, and they're not ready to accept the possibility of what can happen if you get caught. And you don't really notice these kind of things until it happens to you, where you get one of these 1% scenarios and you're like, dang, that was never worth the risk. Even though the percentage is so small, it's just, sometimes it's hard to realize that low possibilities still are a possibility, and that, until you've lived that a few times, it's hard to really understand it. And so what the title of the video is, which we're finally getting to, is Push Yourself Beyond Your Comfort Zone Can Be Dangerous Advice. So I want to preface this by, I absolutely think you should go out of your comfort zone. I think that it's a way that you can grow. So let's say this is someone right here and this is their comfort zone. The way they explore in the world is by taking this, they move to this area, so now they expand that, and they saw it was okay, and they now have more experience, more skills. They're a better person because of it. They know they may have tried something that they like, a new hobby, and they do that again over here. They expand their comfort zone, and what it does is it gives you a lot of experiences, and it really helps you grow. But what I want to talk about is that there's good risk and there's bad risk. So something like putting yourself out there, like joining a school theater show because you like theater, you want to try acting, you want to put yourself out there on the stage. That's something that you may feel uncomfortable about, but that is still, you're going to be able to see if you like acting, and you're going to be able to grow your confidence being on stage. But then there's other things that are, like can be very bad, basically. Like if I fail on stage, it's embarrassing, but let's say you're in high school, once you get to college, you're not no one's gonna remember, no one's gonna care. But there's other things, like for example, I wanted to backflip, so I had practiced, I did it right in the way that I trained up to it in using padding and stuff, but eventually I got comfortable where I could do it on floors, but then one time I messed up and I kind of landed on my face and I scratched it up. So that was a way that I went out of the comfort zone in a physical way that ended up really damaging me. So there's definitely, it's good to explore your comfort zone, just don't do it in these 95% to 1 cases where the 1 is like absolutely terrible. Where another way is if you're investing in super risky stuff, obviously if you're investing risky, it's gonna work and it's gonna work and it's gonna work until it doesn't. And that doesn't can send you horribly down and into debt sometimes. So when you do something, even if, basically the whole point of the video is if you're doing something, don't do it unless you're okay with the worst possible scenario. Because the worst possible scenario for something like going to theater and acting is you get embarrassed, or I can't possibly think of something like worse than that. Maybe there is, but I'm just not creative enough. But things like asking out your crush, yes, the bad can be bad. Maybe it's awkward, you lose a friend because they get like weird about it, stuff like that happens, but the bad isn't horrible. So just try to avoid things that have horrible downsides. So another thing that can be toxic about this seek discomfort mentality is that the way I interpreted it when I was younger was that my brain would say something like, that's stupid. And then I would say, I won't let fear control me. So I had a phase where I really wanted to do everything that scared me because I wanted to put myself out there in a way that I could. I was completely convinced that fear and overcoming it would help me grow as a person. And it absolutely did. It did in many ways. I'm much more confident because of it in things like being able to post these videos and being okay with being on stages and such and being more confident in front of other people. But there's a lot of things that happened where I just bullied myself into doing dangerous and embarrassing things. Because one really stupid example was that I was in class and a girl in front of me had like a piece of hair on her back or something. And then my first thought was, oh, I should just take that off, and she'd probably be like, oh, thank you, because it's like, there's a hair on it, and I don't know. But then my second thought was, that's kind of like hella weird that you'd be like just touching her out of nowhere. She'd probably get creeped out and like shocked and be like, oh, like what? So that was like my brain telling me that's probably not a good idea. But then I did it anyway, and it was like really awkward, and I was like, damn, like definitely should have just listened to my brain on that. And that was like 3-4 years ago, and I still remember it because the awkwardness was that hard. But basically, yes, overcoming fear is a good thing, but there's a difference between fear and your brain genuinely telling you something is stupid or a bad idea and not listening to it. So you don't let fear control you, but think rationally and do it in a way where you're also not letting stupidity rule you either. Because especially for younger people, our prefrontal cortex, which I like to call the brakes, it's basically, it's responsible for impulse control. So it's like, if you decide to do something, your prefrontal cortex is like slamming on the brakes before you do it. And if it's not fully developed, it's like, it takes longer for you to slam on the brakes. So, especially for younger people, it's hard to not impulsively do sometimes dangerous things, which I've certainly done and hoping to grow from, but yeah. So that's generally the gist of the video, is that don't do stupid dangerous things. Make sure that you're rationally deciding what you want to do and then not letting fear be a factor in that, but letting risk be a factor in that. And then know that even if you have 99% to 1 odds of something, that you have to be okay with the 1% happening. One more thing I'd like to mention, someone mentioned something about the audio quality and doing a noise reduction. So I'm gonna put, I downloaded an app to do noise reduction on, so I'm gonna do that in this video. But any comments like that that can help me produce better content, absolutely would love to hear. So thank you for that, and thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it.